was a good thinking day today. I had a lot of good thoughts. Started slow, but I just had a couple conversations that got things rolling. And I'd like to fit it all, but I just won't jam into a 10-minute podcast. I still owe a couple things that I wanted to talk about from before. Didn't work out today, so it was a hungry day. Always is. Just want to eat everything. Got a frozen pizza upstairs in the freezer. Just want to go destroy that thing. It's 10:30 at night. Why the heck not? Nobody will know. That's not going to happen, but soon. And so excited to get back to working out tomorrow, even though today was a busy day. Lots of stuff indoors, outdoors, dog time, chores, errands, all that good stuff. Beautiful day. So it was great. Even sat outside for a little bit, soaked up the sun, watched the dogs fall asleep outside in the sun on the pea stone, which was really cool. They seemed excited for it. Made me really excited for spring, summer with them. I was talking to some friends the other day, and last summer we taught the oldest dog to, didn't really teach him. He kind of figured it out on his own, but he figured it out. We just stuffed him with treats anyway. But taught him how to paddleboard. When he didn't do the paddleboarding, he just sat on it. It'd be really impressive if he could use the paddle. That would be amazing. But anyway, was telling some friends how excited I am to go out with them on the paddleboard with the dogs, and we'll teach the youngest one this summer how to get out there and do that. Curious to see how she handles it. She seems to like to swim, so that'd be good. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, had a lot of good thoughts today, but before we get to that, gratitude day 15, and maybe you're hearing this for the first time. So the goal is basically every day, just write down something you're grateful for. Could be on any kind of paper, journal, something you're going to save, Post-it note, something you're going to throw out. It's just the physical act of writing it that's important. I was also thinking probably just saying it out loud is also pretty valuable. Maybe you don't have to tell anybody, but just saying it actually out loud. I think that could be there could be something in that. But then just get it down on paper. 31 days, so day 15 we're halfway through, and this one was easy today. At first it wasn't, but the more I thought about this and the little things that remind me of this, it was a really cool thing to reflect on and reminisce. I'm grateful for the fact that, and this is not a brag, but I'm grateful for the fact that I could pick up my phone pretty much any time of day and call a friend in there or text them, and they'd be awake to respond. And like I said, this is not a brag. This is just sheer luck by the fact that I spent the better part of 10 years essentially traveling around the world teaching CrossFit seminars, just meeting amazing people, gracious people, helpful people, kind people, interesting people. I don't know. And the more I thought about this one, I was like, God, that's a super cool thing to be grateful for. It's a powerful one because I know sometimes it's easy to feel alone and lonely. And to have a lot of reasons in your life not to feel that way, pretty cool, pretty heartwarming, made me feel good at the end of the day. And then, like I said, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about today, but I was actually chatting with some friends who had listened to the previous podcast, and they seemed a little taken aback by my hot take on coffee in general, which was that I think I said all coffee tastes terrible or like shit or like garbage or something. That's not really what I meant. What I meant was that given all of the other things that you could drink, for me, the flavor of coffee, any coffee, doesn't fall high on that list. Now, here's the deal. Some coffee is better than other coffee, in my opinion. For the record, I'm very biased in this. I've never drank an entire hot cup of coffee. Don't love hot drinks, so probably not going to do it. Cold brew, pretty tolerable. One time was at a seminar, and I was actually talking to people. We were just, it was a CrossFit seminar, weekend seminar, 2-day. Might have been during lunchtime on the first day of the seminar, and I was just making small talk with the group, and one of the things we talked about was just caffeine, and I was saying how I don't really like the taste of coffee. The next day, one of the people taking the course came in, and this legend gave me a sip of his coffee, which at the time I think was like maybe it was a Dunkin' Donuts or some chain, maybe it was a local store, but it was a Chips Ahoy flavored iced coffee. Now let me tell you, that was spectacular as far as flavor. On the list, falls very high. Regular black coffee, run of the mill. Now, I know that probably gets a lot of people upset, and this is actually a bigger point to this, but for me and my own caffeine addictive behavior, I don't think coffee tastes better than energy drinks. Coffee might be better for you than that, might be a better caffeine source. And I like all the things, I like the rituals around coffee. I like all the details around the different kinds of beans, how they're grown. I like how you can grind them differently, how you can make espresso. Actually, you know what? I like Freddo espresso. That's actually a coffee flavor I really like. I think I've talked about that before. I think I've talked about this before, but I needed to drive it home because there's a point here at some point. We're getting to it slowly. What was I talking about? Coffee. Energy drinks taste better. Yep, that's where I was headed. My point with this was that, and I'm getting there. Basically, I also like the social aspect of coffee. I like the fact that there's like this entire social, you can go to a coffee shop, and I like the smell of coffee. I love the smell of roasting coffee. I like coffee ice cream. I don't love coffee. So basically what I like caffeine with sugar added to it. That's kind of what I'm saying here. Not a great example for all the kiddos out there, but it is what it is. Anyway, had a friend the other day, and he's typically pretty straight and narrow when it comes to his diet, but every once in a while he has a little treat. He had this like pumpkin butterscotch sugar flippity-doo cold brew, foam on top. Looked amazing, smelt amazing. I didn't try it. Probably was great. Almost guarantee it tastes better than coffee. Some people might say that I'm comparing apples to oranges once you start to add the frou-frou drinks in there and the sugar. Anyway, my point is this. A long time ago, I was cooking for a friend, and I was making eggs. And typically, when I think when you make scrambled eggs, they should be a little bit wet. Now, I'll probably see a lot of people rolling their eyes. And I see, like I said on the Instagram, I think I talked about this once. Like, I don't understand. I always see CrossFit athletes day in the life of, they basically just turn their eggs into something that looks like 64-year-old bubble gum. Like, I don't understand why they overcook their eggs like they do. And they're like, look at this delicious breakfast. And I was like, my dog can't paddleboard, but he sure as shit could cook eggs better than that. And so I was cooking this for my friend, and I had this thought in my head of like, oh God, why would you want your eggs cooked like that? But you know what? At the end of the day, if that's how somebody likes their eggs cooked, God, that's interesting. All of those things can be true. I can think eggs like that are not very good, and she can think eggs like that are delicious and exactly how she enjoys them. And I can think the flavor of coffee is not my favorite, but I can also love all of the other things associated with it. And I can accept and be happy for that other people find it incredibly tasty, regardless if it's hot, cold, sugar added, no sugar added, cream added, milk added, however they want to mix it up, espresso, cortado, Americano. See, now I'm just doing my coffee flex knowledge on you. Or people can just be addicted to energy drinks. That's fine too. My point in talking about this was, I think one of the things that is so interesting, and maybe this goes back to you can always learn from an experience that's not your own, is especially when it comes to like taste and flavor. There are so many things that can be the case, and they can all exist in the same space. I can not like coffee, somebody else can, and we can still go out to coffee and have an amazing conversation. You know, if there's anything I learned when I spent time traveling, doing seminars and meeting other people and going to different countries, it was, and I'm glad I didn't have this, it was the assumption that I already knew what an experience was going to be like that would have ruined that entire experience. It was the openness to the experience, the food, the journey, the new, cultural experience or insight, the history. It was the fact that, I went in unafraid to be wrong, be different, not have to get it right, that made all of those fucking journeys so amazing. Everything was new. Everything was fresh. Everything was different. And the less you assume, the better that gets in your life. I think, it's one of my favorite things about food. I think it's so charming about food. The fact that people will like food in so many different ways. The same food item. Cook an egg so much you throw it against the wall, it'll bounce back twice as fast and knock you out. Or leave the eggs a little bit wet, as a scrambled egg should be. No, I'm kidding. But I think that is something like really, really, really beautiful, and that there are so many individual differences there. It makes the world exciting for me. And I think it's definitely something like, going into it and just in a way that is without judgment, and just finding out like, hey, well, why do you do it that way? Tell me a little bit about that. I think if you approach most things like that, you will live such a more enjoyable life. I know I have. And sometimes my friends will make fun of me. I have this phrase I say pretty often, and I say, oh, good for them. And I have some friends that'll say like that's my way of like dissing somebody, like the old, oh, bless their heart. I'll say, oh, good. That's good for them. Good for them. Good for him. Good for her. And in some ways I kind of mean it sarcastically, but honestly, really deep down, the way I mean it is like, yeah, good for them. I'm just shocked, and the reason I say it in that tongue-in-cheek way is I'm just so shocked how different we can all be and how differently we can all perceive the world, and most of the time get it right and get along and enjoy it. So yeah, good for them. I get a lot of flack for that one, but there is sometimes I more often than not, I mean that in earnest, and it just is. It's such an interesting thing for me to see how different we all can be, and how, like I said, differently we can perceive the world, and still most of the time get along and just get to it. So we'll stop it there. I got more to share. It's gonna be a fun week. Appreciate you. Coffee's okay. Sometimes it's not. Energy drinks are 100% better, but also who knows? So see you tomorrow.